Hey.
Good afternoon. I want to highlight my partner's T-shirt today.
My wife hates this shirt.
I like it.
It's Shirtworks.
Sasquatch.
Shirtworks.com.
Sasquatch, and it says social distance. What's it say?
World champion.
Social distancing world champion.
He's got a 6-pack of beer, and he's got a USA hat on.
And once again, I want to say how
best.
proud I am of you. And it's a fashion statement.
Yeah, it's a
I'm wearing my yuppie pink. I thought I'd go pink today.
pink looks good.
Well, you have to be secure in your masculinity, and I'm secure in my masculinity.
I guess I'm not because I put a Sasquatch on my shirt.
You're hiding behind Sasquatch.
So I've got my friend makes these shirts, and he makes a bunch of other really. He's creative out the. I can't even.
Wazoo.
Yeah, I was trying to think of a bad word to say, but I can't.
Wazoo's good.
Yeah, but he's got all these shirts that he makes, and I love this one. So he sent me one when they were first printed, and there was like an ink spot on it, and I told him I'd buy him, so I bought him off his website. He's got a website.
With the ink spot?
No,
that was just one.
He just sent me one thing. He's a good friend.
Sounds like it.
Shirtworks.com. I think Shirtworks BR, Baton Rouge. I think that's it. I don't know. Shirtworks.
BR.com.
He's got a bunch of stuff. He's got some really cool. So anyway, he sends me that one, and I paid him for it. But he sent me a funny message and said, "Yeah, I didn't even notice the ink spot." He said, "I sent you another one." So I have 2 of them.
Oh.
So I wear, and they're the most comfortable shirt I've ever had. So I wear it a lot.
Does it have a label in the back, or is it?
No, I think
I like those kind
I
of.
think I cut it off.
Oh.
Maybe it had a label. I cut off the labels.
Oh, I don't like the labels anymore. I like the ones where it's just printed back there.
Shirts, mattresses. I go around and cut labels off.
Well, now with mattresses, that makes you illegal.
Not if you do it at home.
No,
You're not supposed to leave in the store. You're supposed to leave them on.
Well, yeah, but it says don't remove it, and I think it's in the fine print. If you remove it even at home, you're a felon.
Somebody else did it.
I cut mine off too.
Okay.
but I don't tell anybody.
Yeah. Well, and so I have 2 shirts, and I wear them all the time. And
well, I'm sure they're very proud of you about that.
My wife's not happy about
Is this the one that you wear all the time?
No, because it doesn't have the ink spot on it.
I believe Joe Biden would love this shirt because it is the essence of his. It was the essence of his running for president.
Yeah,
he was the most socially distanced candidate I think I've ever seen in history.
Yep.
And
you know what another good word for that is?
What?
Isolated. Isolation. You should self-isolate. You should not be around people.
Joe would confuse that with being on ice.
Yeah, I'm concerned.
Well, you should be. You should be. And talking about that, do you know that in Pennsylvania, where they're going through all this recount still, and this is Monday, the Monday after the election last Tuesday, that they are still counting in Philadelphia, and all sorts of bad things have been happening in Pennsylvania, and in Arizona, and Michigan, Wisconsin, North Carolina, Georgia, and it's all Democrat. It's all Democrat with problems in counting ballots. And you know they've all been saying we need to count all the ballots. No, that's not true. You count the legal ballots, those that are turned in by a specific date and a time, and they meet all the ramifications as the person is registered to vote, the person is of age, the person is not dead.
Not dead.
You know that in Philadelphia, they have been counting, they found people that registered to vote in this election that had already died. And to take it even one step further, those people who registered after they died, they also voted after they died. So it was, that's the kind of thing that's going on currently in Philadelphia. Plus the fact that they didn't allow poll watchers to to go in and view what was going on. If someone got too close to the counting, they kicked that person out.
Yeah.
They wouldn't allow photographs.
Did that happen in the Republican districts? Or is this supposedly only happening in the Democratic districts? Or
it apparently only happens in Democratic districts and in democratically run states. And that, last week I told you, stop the presses. Stop the presses. And then you told me we only had a laser printer.
that was the air conditioner.
Oh, it was the air conditioner was running? Oh.
Every once in a while, the air conditioner will kick on.
Well, today, I'm going to forget the presses.
So you've got more news?
I was reminded of something this past week, of something that I read a long time ago. So this one, instead of stopping the presses, I'm going to tell you to fasten your seatbelt.
Oh no. There's no seatbelts. There's no seatbelts.
We're going to have to get some stuff. Not only do we have to get our equipment, we're going to have to obviously get some presses.
Props.
And we're going to need some seatbelts. And
Yep. I'm ready.
have you ever heard of the Battle of Athens, Tennessee from 1946?
Never. Ever.
That's what I'm afraid most people have never heard of that.
I'm about to go to Tennessee.
Yeah. Well, Athens, Tennessee
Well, I'm not going to Athens.
is over in the eastern part of Tennessee. Is that where you're going?
Nope. But I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
I mean, I know what Tennessee looks
You
like.
know where Tennessee kind of ends? It's in the southeast portion of the state.
Okay.
Well, back in the 1930s,
Okay.
there was a boss that his headquarters were in Memphis, and I think if I remember correctly, his name was Crump. I think it was Crump. And anyway, he was like a political boss.
Okay.
He ran things in the state.
So he had a job, or he owned it.
His
what do you
job
mean a
was
boss?
running the state.
He was a governor?
Well, no.
Okay.
He was.
It's like an organized crime boss?
Similar. But
1940s, was this prohibition
It's
stuff
in
going on?
30, no, it's late 30s that he got his start, and what he did is he worked the political system. He was
Okay.
Democrat.
I'm trying to get context.
I'll give you the
So what
context
did
in
he
just a
do for a
minute.
job? Okay.
You might have to unfasten your
All right.
seatbelt on
Sorry.
this. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, Crump was running the state politically for the Democrats. He was
Okay.
a big FDR guy.
Okay.
And his mode of operation was he would support the sheriffs in particular counties.
Modus operandi.
His modus operandi was get the sheriff elected in a particular county, and then deputies were not paid by a salary. They were paid by fees, and they would go around and they would arrest people for intoxication, for example. They'd pull you over and say, you're intoxicated, you got to go to jail. That person would obviously have to pay a fee. The sheriff's deputies would be paid. The sheriff's deputies would then be paid a percentage of that ticket.
So like a commission.
It was a commission on you will pull someone over and you do that. Well, the Crump's political machine was moving across the state of Tennessee through the 30s. And in 1936, he got to McMinn County, which is where Athens, Tennessee is.
Okay.
And he got the sheriff elected there. And his name was Cantrell. I read this story 30 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
And Cantrell was this rich kid, young man, and a Democrat. And they ran on the FDR platform, and he got Cantrell elected sheriff of McMinn County.
Okay.
So once he got in there, McMinn started hiring sheriffs. The deputies. And the deputies were thugs. They were going around and they were arresting people for all sorts of fake things. They would actually stop buses on the highway going through the county.
Yeah.
And they'd go into the bus and start saying, okay, you've been drinking, you're intoxicated.
I don't like the way you look at me.
And they pull them off the bus and arrest them, and then the people obviously would have to pay fees to get out of the predicament that they were in, and that was going on and on and on. Then the 40s hit. You've heard about this?
Well, no, I've heard what you're describing sounds to me like people that tell me what Mexico's like.
Oh Lord!
I mean, like the cops will pull you over and just they'll let you go if you give them some cash or something. That's never happened to me.
Well, that's the reason I don't go to Mexico.
I've been to Mexico a couple of times, and thankfully.
I've flown over Mexico, but I'm not.
No, I've been a couple of times. Yeah, I've got a really good story about Cabo San Lucas that I almost died 3 times in one weekend.
Was that because of Cantrell and Crump and their political machine?
No, most of it was because of bad
choices on your part.
that I got myself into. Some of them were
you
beyond my
wearing
control.
your communistic jacket from last week.
No, thankfully I wasn't.
Well, yeah, you probably
Because
did.
I would not. I would.
So anyway,
I'm sorry.
All right. We digress. You let loose of your seatbelt.
All right.
So anyway, this story's almost over.
No, that's okay.
No, it's good.
So
Cantrell was the sheriff. He's hired all these deputies.
He's working for Crump.
He's working for Crump back west in Memphis.
Okay, back Memphis.
He's out in Memphis.
Oh,
and so things are getting bad. Now World War II has started. We're in the early 40s now.
Okay.
And Cantrell has moved on to a higher political position, and Crump and Cantrell have had this other man elected sheriff.
Okay.
Well, during the war, this particular little county had over 3,000 men go and serve in Europe and in the Pacific. Mm-hmm. When they returned, they had received, as they got out of the services, they would receive furlough pay. And so they had this extra cash on them. And so the sheriff of McMinn County had hired deputies to go and harass these men that had all this new cheese in their pockets.
They knew they had money.
They had money. So they started harassing the veterans and taking money from them because they figured, hey, we can get easy money from these guys. Well, in 1946, the veterans and the population of McMinn County, which I think back then was around 30,000 people,
okay,
they had enough. And the GIs established this independent party called the GI, I forgot what we called it, the GI party it might have even been, but it was unaffiliated to Republican or Democrat. It was just independent type of people.
I like independent parties.
Well, yeah, it's your thing.
That's my wheelhouse.
And you're going to like where this is going, being because of the independent that you are.
Yeah. I don't like people that have too much power.
Well, just wait till this.
Okay,
I'm sorry. I am on the cusp.
It's like I just got to the Wizard of Oz and I'm at the curtain and you haven't pulled the curtain back.
You don't pull the curtain back because I'm on the cusp of telling you the story.
Right. Okay, sorry.
So anyway, it's the GIs nominate a person who's going to run for sheriff or mayor in the 1946 election. Well, the day of the election, the sheriff, one of Crump's and Cantrell's cronies, had hired 250 sheriffs, deputies, to be around the county
on election day.
On election day,
nice.
And a good portion of this 250 sheriff deputies were ex-cons that they let out of prison, so they hired them. So they knew they'd be tough.
It's like a work release program.
It's well, yeah, because they were going to relieve you of your vote.
Oh.
So anyway, they had these sheriff's deputies stationed all over the little county at the precincts, and people would try to come in and vote. And if you weren't the right person, they really weren't going to let you vote. For example, there was an African American man who was actually very well respected in the parish at that time. I mean, in the county at that time. He went in. His name was Gillespie.
Okay.
And he went into his precinct to vote. They said, no, you don't vote. You cannot vote. And they were saying that because he's African American.
Okay.
But he was an independent.
Yeah.
And he said, "No, I am going to vote." He was very active in the county.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "I am going to vote," and they said, "No, you're not."
Mm-hmm.
And a deputy pulled out his gun and shot him
Oh God.
right there by the precinct. And I was going, "Oh my goodness!" There was another precinct where a young woman, she was 17 years old, not eligible to vote, not even registered to vote. They were going to let her vote. And the poll watchers there, they had two poll watchers from the GI party there, and they said, "You can't let this woman vote. She's only 17. She's not registered. She's not eligible." They got brass knuckles, the deputies, and they just beat the living daylight out of the poll watchers.
This is real.
This is real. This is real. This is a real story. There was another another precinct where they allowed some dead people to vote.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of other precincts where before the voting started, the poll watchers asked to open the box so they could see if the ballot box was empty. And the sheriff's deputies arrested them and took them out to jail. So they didn't open the boxes. So all the word of all this was getting out, and then they could the Cantrell Crump people were saying this was going south. So they grabbed up the ballot boxes from a number of precincts and ran to the parish court, the county courthouse, and locked themselves up with their 250 sheriff's deputies that they were paying in today's dollars would be $700 a day to be a deputy. Now you think that's
a good amount.
it's a
of
good
money.
gig, huh, for an election, and particularly if you're an ex-con. So they run to the courthouse and they lock themselves up. The courthouse is this made out of stone, looking like a. And well, the GI folks and other people throughout the county said this has got to stop. They know what was going on. They were going to take the ballot boxes into the courthouse and fake all of the votes.
Yeah.
And then everybody would lose, and the Cantrell Crump team would win.
Yeah.
Well, the GI guy said, "No, this is not the way it's going to happen." And they encircled the courthouse and said, "You guys come out and bring the ballot boxes. You have a certain amount of time." And the sheriff at the time screamed out, "No." Cantrell was there. He said, "No." And he tried to get the deputies to bust open the ballot boxes, but he couldn't do that because the GI men had gone to the local armory, and they opened it up. They had the key and opened up the armory, and they unloaded the armory of 60 infield rifles, a 30-06. If I knew weapons, I mean, it would be a 30-06.
I think you shoot deers with those.
You can shoot through cement with those. And then they had a couple of M1 Garans, which shoots a 308. If I knew weapons, if I
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Right.
They just had big guns.
The big bullet.
Yeah.
They had a big bullet.
Huh.
And then they had a couple of Tommy guns.
And so these were veterans.
These were veterans. A Tommy gun would shoot 800 rounds a minute. If I knew anything about weapons.
Yeah.
And then they had some
Tommy
shotguns.
guns. Isn't that what like?
That's the thing. Had the big round. Had the big round magazine.
Yeah.
But like I said, that could shoot 800 rounds a minute. Well, all of a sudden, they had reports say there were over 200 up to 2,000 people surrounding the courthouse.
Yeah.
With the 250 deputies and Cantrell and the sheriff in the courthouse, trying to bust open the ballot boxes. When all of a sudden the gunfire rang out from the courthouse. Some deputies fired into the crowd. Well, the GIs said no, and there were 3 hours of gunfire going through. And the good thing, no one on the GI side was hurt because they knew how to fight. But there were a number of individuals inside the courthouse that were wounded. No one was killed. And finally, it got to the point where Cantrell and the sheriff and the deputies would not come out, even though they were just shooting the courthouse to smithereens. And they couldn't open up the ballot boxes because of all the activity. and they Cantrell was calling the governor, trying to get the governor to send in the National Guard, and the governor didn't do that. Although he
the
probably
governor
would
could
have.
have easily done that.
He could have easily.
Because this sounds like the
Armed
beginning of
insurrection.
armed insurrection and civil unrest, because you've got citizens who are veterans. Oh man, this sounds like a
Okay. So I'm almost done. I'm almost done.
Is this a screenplay? Did you write this?
No, but that's a good idea.
I'm thinking
I
Dinesh
may have to
D'Souza.
make a movie.
Well, yeah. What's his name? Dinesh
Dinesh
D'Souza?
D'Souza.
I think this is a good movie.
You and I'd have to be the lead GI characters. I want to be the one that shoots first, because I think I was the one running for mayor. So anyway, the guys aren't coming out. The GIs realize they're not coming out, and there's a GI that dealt in blowing things up in the war.
Oh,
and he
Lord.
says,
I could blow that up.
He says,
I want to play that guy.
So they go back to the armory and they get dynamite.
Oh my God.
And so they get
This
the
is
dynamite
insane.
and they start loading, they start lighting a stick of dynamite and throwing it, and it explodes in the air.
Like bottle rockets.
It was like big bottle rockets. Well, that wasn't
Okay.
having an impact on the guys inside the building. So the ordnance guy says, we're going to blow up that door. So they sneak around the back and they taped together 5 sticks of dynamite, and they went around the side of the stone courthouse, and it blew open the front door. Oh, it blew the front door wide open.
Wow.
And with that, Cantrell, his sheriff, and the 250 sheriffs that could actually walk by that time gave up. They gave up the ghost. They made a makeshift white flag, and they walked out, and the GIs were able to go back into the courthouse, retrieve the ballot boxes, still locked up.
They didn't burn the ballot box. Tell me that.
No, I think there was so much going on, the guys inside couldn't. Cantrell, excuse me, I got ahead of myself.
Yeah.
Cantrell didn't walk out. After the door had been blown off by the dynamite, Cantrell snuck out of the back door and escaped. But the sheriff and his deputies and those that could walk, walked out, surrendered, got hospital care when he needed it. The ballots were legally counted and observed by legal poll watchers, and all of the Crump team lost. They were just canned by everybody legally.
Yeah.
And the veterans took the weapons back to the armory.
Yeah.
And being good veterans, as they would be, or anybody would own a weapon, if I knew what I was talking about, a weapon.
You sound very suspicious. Just kidding.
But they cleaned the weapons well,
Yeah.
restocked the shelves, and went back and locked the door behind them, gave the keys back to the man that they retrieved the keys from, and all was well, got rid of the political corruption. And I said, and that is the real.
That's a crazy story.
It was, but
it's true.
It's true,
Yeah.
and it's something that also is. I think, to me, it stresses the reality of why the Second Amendment itself is so important.
Yeah.
Because not only did those men go to the armory and get weapons from the armory, but there were citizens that were all around. They brought their own weapons.
They were armed as well.
And it brought down a tyranny that was
A tyrannical
local government that was just not. It was not good for the people.
Yeah.
And you got the same thing happening in all these democratic
what the Second
states.
Amendment was for.
That's right. It wasn't for hunting.
But like the democratic states, or the places that are voting heavily Democrat, which seems to be, you can pick them out on the map. They tend to be the cities,
very urban.
Yeah, and then but you don't see. I don't know. That to me is civil unrest, right? So that's when it gets so out of hand that people start getting guns and shooting each other.
Well, and not that I'm saying that we need to go out and have civil unrest, because we've had this election. So far, all the TV networks have, except for maybe Newsmax, have said that Biden is president-elect. In 2000, when Al Gore was fussing about the fact that Bush was not president, they didn't rush to call anybody president-elect.
No.
And Al Gore was only suing Bush in 3 counties in Florida, not the entire state. And they waited 37 days before the Supreme Court finally said, before they finally called Bush president-elect.
And the Supreme Court had to do it.
Well, the Supreme Court had to confirm the votes.
Okay.
And after the votes said, well, you got to look at it this way, then the state had to certify it and say, yes, Bush won. And then after a state certifies the election.
Yeah.
See, just because a network says that Biden is president, each state has to certify the election.
And then the Senate has to go through a process, right? I mean, there's
the House.
Yeah, the House. There's a lot of things that go into it. It's not just because somebody comes on the news and says,
"No,
this is your guy." Although
what they're doing now is wrong.
They're it gets so complicated. And I remember 2000. I remember the hanging Chad, but that's the only thing I remember, because at that time I was at the age where I didn't really care about elections. I didn't, and I think that there's a lot. I think there's a lot of people that aren't paying attention, that don't care. Probably still.
Oh, I'm sure that's true.
I've heard there's like the 80-20 rule. You ever heard of that?
Yeah.
I don't know who made that rule up, but it's like
the guy that was in the 20.
Yeah, the guy who was in the 20 that was producing 80% of the work. Yeah. So I've also heard of this thing where in the Civil War there was a third of the country who was on one side, a third of the country on the other side, and the third of the country was just like, y'all stop it. Like, just leave me alone.
The revolution was just like that too.
Really?
Third.
Yeah. So I always feel like I'm in that third. It was just like, would you just stop? Would y'all just stop?
Oh, see, I'm on the third that says, hey, we got to go fight these guys.
And I'm on the third, I guess, like, okay, well,
you're fighting with weapons.
Man, if you're not going to leave me alone, okay, I guess I will be. Well, I know how to blow stuff up. That's where I'll come in. It's like, well,
see,
I know.
You fit a bill. You fit a bill. I fit a bill. You fit a bill.
But I feel like it's just such a long fuse. I feel like another bomb analogy. I have a long fuse. I don't want to.
Well, if I'm next to you, I'll cut the fuse for you a little bit, just
so it happens sooner.
It'll be on my conscience. It's not going to bother me. I'm just asking you to close your eyes.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen.
I'm not recommending that we have insurrection, but I do think that people.
That's a crazy story. I'm going to go look that up.
Battle of Athens, Tennessee.
I'm going to find some content and I'll link it.
Ooh. Ooh.
Hopefully I'll watch
It's a book. I read this book like 30 something years ago.
Yeah.
And I said, wow, it was such a strange story. Yeah. And when they started talking about Pennsylvania and all of the dead people voting and how many dead people registered. And
I don't think they update the clerk of courts
apparently for this
voter registration.
Apparently for this election they did have a number of dead people registered.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really kind of interesting.
I know. I wonder, it's got to go through the process, though. And like even the lawsuits and things like that, that's part of the process. So you just kind of have to wait it out.
Now we are.
I know.
And that's why it's kind of interesting if you look at the way it all went down Tuesday night and early Wednesday, I just don't know.
Yeah.
And why is it that we, the United States, that our voting process is lower than a third world nation? Why can't we get it right? How come all these states that...
You got to have a county by county or parish by, or
Well, the legislature creates the law for each particular state.
Mm-hmm.
And for example, Pennsylvania the legislature is run by the Republicans.
So maybe it's their fault.
So it could be their fault, and they, the legislature is the one that selects who the electors are for president. So it's not out of the art. It's not out of the realm that a Republican legislature, say like Pennsylvania, could select the majority of electors for Trump because they're Republican and they say what's going on. So the legislature can do what they want to do, and so it could still go that way.
Huh.
I'm not an attorney, so I don't play one at home.
Either way, it seems that. So I am a philosopher, and
Well, I've always thought you were deep.
yeah. So it seems that in 2000, the Democrats didn't feel like Bush won legitimately. So they never felt like Bush was a legitimate candidate or president. And then, you can go back and forth whether Obama beat he won handily. But he was going against McCain.
You got McCain and Romney. Those were bad candidates.
I'm not even gonna.
No, I will. I'll say it. They're bad candidates.
Well, and so then, whenever Trump was elected, it was all Russian collusion, and he was never a legitimate president to the Democratic Party. So I don't know why Republicans feel the need to say Biden would be a legitimate president throughout his process, even if he is president.
And the good thing is there really will be Russian charisma activity going on that he could be.
I didn't want to bring that up.
Oh, I do.
But there's
that man. Their investigations can begin now.
But he gets the whatever, gets in trouble, and then what's her name gets in. Right? Doesn't she become the president?
Yeah, that's where I think that's why Nancy was polishing up the 25th Amendment, because they want to get rid of Joe and put in Kamala so that then they can have their tribunal.
So who would be the vice president?
Well, then they would have to select another person. She would nominate someone, and then the legislature would say, okay, we'll let that person go.
AOC.
So, oh God. Oh God! This weekend. I don't really think so. I think she looks very communistic. I think she looks communistic. I think she talks
I
evil.
don't know her, but
I don't know. I know what she says.
She's definitely got. I think she lives in a bubble, and I heard somebody say that she was elected by socialist baristas. I thought that was really funny.
I can believe it.
Just because, I know whenever I go to a certain coffee place for my wife, whenever I go to pick her up something,
they all look like AOC.
I always feel like I don't know. I hate the stereotype. Sometimes I like the stereotype. Never mind.
Well, do you know what? Talking about stereotyping, you know what Chuck Schumer said this weekend? Oh, it's crazy. He was all giddy. He was outside of I don't know if he was outside the Capitol or whatever, but he was in front of a microphone and a camera, which is Chuck Schumer's favorite position.
He likes to.
If there's a camera anywhere within a 300-foot diameter radius of where he is, he runs to it because the man is always.
That's a good politician.
No, he's not.
No, I'm just saying that's a good quality of a politician.
Oh God!
I got my words mixed up.
Well, see, he's the kind of guy that would incite an insurrection. But anyway, this weekend he was all giddy in front of this microphone and camera, and he took off his mask and he said, talking about Georgia. He says, when we win Georgia, because they have 2 Senate seats that are going we're going to win the 2 Senate seats in Georgia, and we'll gain control of the Senate. And this is what he says. I'm not even paraphrasing. We'll change America. We'll change. That came right out of Chuck Schumer's mouth. We'll change America. So Georgia has to vote for the Republicans. There are 2 Republicans.
Change. I've heard that before. Hope and change.
Well, that's.
And nobody ever asked, wait, what's the change?
What
do we change it to?
That's the kind of stuff they said in Russia. That's the kind of stuff they said in China. That's the kind of stuff they said in Venezuela.
Hey,
Cuba.
I think that I heard someone else say that the world tends to curve towards socialism because it's human nature to want what you don't have. And so when there's enough people that don't have things, when there's more people that don't have things, then that's an easy nerve to tap into to bring about that type of social justice, to throw that word out. I don't think it's right. I don't think it's good. I'm just saying. That's what I see.
Your prognostication?
Yeah, that's how I see the world. It's dire times, but it's always dire times. It's been dire times since humans could.
That's true.
Make a sentence.
Living in the world is hard.
It is, but it's fun. It is.
Well, you have to
make it.
You have to make it fun, because you can also make it bad, and you have to recognize I can be better than that.
Yeah, I had to explain to 10-year-olds what the phrase "you made your bed, now you have to lay in it," and they didn't understand. They didn't get it, and I said, well, it's kind of like whenever you make your bed, you have to lay in it. And then one of the kids said, whoa, so it means if you make it really neat, then you're going to mess it up. I was like, no. It's like whenever you make your bed, you literally make your bed out of something. So you want to make it out, if you make it out of stones and thorns, you're not going to want to lay in that bed. Mm-hmm. But you made their bed out of stones and thorns. So you'd want to make it out of pillows. And we started getting into like, what about a bed made of Jell-O? And what about a bed of nails? And we have a good time in the morning. That was after we I showed him a little video on the differences between socialism and capitalism.
Oh, that video that we
No, that's way too far for 10-year-olds.
Oh, okay.
No, there's a bunch of videos out there, and it just really just kind of explains. So I think the best thing to do is, and this is what I'm doing. Some people would call it indoctrination. I don't think so. I just think it's being honest with the kids and showing them the world, because if they don't learn the world from the parents, well, that's the big responsibility of the parents. They're going to learn it from the world, and they might learn something that might not be exactly true.
That's true.
So it's true. So it's really important to.
That's why faith is also important for the parents to teach their children about faith.
Man, there's so many good lessons. We can talk about the Bible, like the lessons in the Bible, because that would be on your. That's your expertise. I'm not good. But the good lessons are, like the.
I don't have any expertise.
Yeah.
No, I don't know anything about weapons.
Oh
well, I don't know any. I don't know. I didn't.
Yeah, you were in the Navy. They didn't use weapons. Just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
One of the things next week, I'll have a new partner. I didn't know. My little story. You got me. I got on a tear on the Battle of Athens. You're going to connect something down here so they can click to it and see if
it was really true. Well, we're going to do a fact check.
Do fact checking. If we fact check and everything I said was wrong, delete this whole video. But if I'm right,
the guy that blows it up, I want to know his name.
If what I read 30 years ago was accurate, you'll find something.
And that's an amazing memory.
I've always been cursed with a.
That's a really good memory.
30
years ago.
You want to talk?
How many? That was. Okay, I can't do the math to get 30 years. That's a good time.
It was a long time ago.
That was before microwaves.
I've had a friend. Yeah, my mind couldn't have been scrambled by then.
That's right. That's what my problem is. Because you just wash the food.
You do.
And everybody was, we would as kids, because you never seen food be cooked so fast. And they're always slap you in the back of the head. Get away from the microwave.
You're going to die. Well, I don't know how we got on that. But the reality is, if you find this, I did have friends that used to always tell me, so that I was full of a ton of useless information.
Yeah.
So the Battle of Athens, Tennessee, might be a useless information to others, but it's
a good story.
It's a story that shows just what the citizen needs to be aware of. That sometimes you have to stand up for yourself,
and that you had friends.
and that will stand with you. Particularly if you hand them a weapon.
Yeah.
Or dynamite in your case.
I know.
I'll have the weapon. I'll take an M1 Garand, and I'll get you the dynamite.
I want to be like a long ways away. They have had those boxes that you.
Yeah, they used in the military a switch that blew it up.
Okay.
And they only use 5 sticks of dynamite.
That's just like a 9-volt battery.
Pretty much what it is.
A little bigger.
But 5 sticks of dynamite does quite a bit of damage. I can tell you that I don't think that courthouse is there anymore.
Athens, Tennessee.
I've never been there. I've never been there.
I'm going to research.
Everyone out there will appreciate what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's good. I like it.
That was
a great
soap
story.
opera of the day.
That was good.
Well, we probably ought to go, I guess, huh?
Yeah, next time.
I have no idea what story we'll go into next week.
No.
But I sure do appreciate it. We had a lot of views last week.
Yeah.
Keep it coming and going, and
leave a comment. Let us know something.
Yeah,
let us know that you're even. You can just say like, "This was this. I just wasted 30 minutes of my life by watching this."
And I'll have Russell send you some cash to make up for the time.
Yeah,
or a T-shirt with power pips
and a Sasquatch.
And a Sasquatch.
All right.
We do appreciate y'all very, very much. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.